Matt Gaetz, obviously a major story. He seems to have engaged in a sexual relationship allegedly with a 17-year-old girl. So, curious sequence of news yesterday. In the morning, Axios got a scoop on Matt Gaetz potentially voluntarily leaving Congress in order to pursue a gig on Newsmax on his own accord, of course, right? But then 10 to 12 hours later, the New York Times broke a story that Matt Gaetz is under investigation by the DOJ over possible sex trafficking charges. It alleges that Gaetz, who's 38 years old, had a sexual relationship with a 17-year-old girl and traveled across state lines with her, potentially compensated her, violating federal sex trafficking laws, allegedly. And this investigation opened up when one of his buddies in Florida, an official named Joel Greenberg, was indicted on very similar charges, including sex trafficking with a minor. And by the way, as Gaetz is trying to claim that this is an extortion attempt for millions of dollars by some FBI official, it's all very convoluted, but he's also going to try to say, oh, the New York Times, the liberal media, they're all against me. This investigation opened up under the Trump administration, under William Barr. So there's been no one more loyal to Trump than Gaetz. Even Barr had to pursue these charges, it seems. So Matt Gaetz went on Tucker Carlson's program in a bizarre interview that's gone viral to defend himself in a curious way by throwing Tucker under the bus. Here's the first of those clips.
And I believe we are in an era of our politics now, Tucker, where people are smeared to try to take them out of the conversation. I'm not the only person on screen right now who's been falsely accused of a terrible sex act. You were accused of something that you did not do. And so you know what this feels like. You know the pain it can bring to your family. And you know how it just puts people on defense when you're accused of something so salacious and awful. But it did not happen. It is not true.
So he decided to talk about how Tucker Carlson had potentially faced an accusation way in the past. I really haven't heard much about this. It doesn't seem like it was credible. As much as we loathe Tucker Carlson, we have to be fair here. But he went on a friendly program in order to ostensibly get people on his side, and then decided to do a whataboutism and shiv the host in the side multiple times and just alienate a potential ally. And when that didn't work, Tucker later clarified, okay, this accusation was 20 years ago. I don't know this woman. And again, from what I've heard, it doesn't seem like this was a credible accusation. When that didn't work, Gaetz tried to rope Tucker in a second way.
Again, I only know what I've read in the New York Times. I can say that actually you and I went to dinner about 2 years ago. Your wife was there, and I brought a friend of mine. You'll remember her. And she was actually threatened by the FBI, told that if she wouldn't cop to the fact that somehow I was involved in some pay-for-play scheme, that she could face trouble. And so I do believe that there are people at the Department of Justice who are trying to smear me, providing for flights and hotel rooms for people that you're dating who are of legal age is not a crime. And I'm just troubled that the lack of any sort of legitimate investigation into me would then convert into this extortion attempt.
Permute?
I don't remember the woman you're speaking of or the context at all, honestly. But
who knows if this dinner even happened? Gaetz then went to describe this alleged extortion plot. I mean, I say alleged, it's a 95% chance it's made up. I mean, I might even go higher than that. Do not bet on Matt Gaetz being truthful here. Tucker then closed this interview after Matt Gaetz left with just bewilderment, and not the feigned kind that he often puts on, but seemingly authentic.
If you just saw our Matt Gaetz interview, that was one of the weirdest interviews I've ever conducted. That story just appeared in the news a couple of hours ago. And on the certainty that there's always more than you read in the newspaper, we immediately called Matt Gaetz and asked him to come on and tell us more, which, as you saw, he did. I don't think that clarified much, but it certainly showed this is a deeply interesting story, and we'll be following it. Don't quite understand it, but we'll bring you more when we find out.
Okay, but I do love the admission. Hey, you know, we're not really journalists. We brought on the congressman to tell his side of the story because we inherently don't like the New York Times, and this guy's a Republican, so we want to give him a platform to spout whatever he wants about the accusations leveled against him. But one, he went after me for no reason in order to try to say, hey, we're the same, bro. We're the same. And Tucker's like, I don't think we are. And two, he also just didn't make any sense. There's so much more to that interview. I would encourage everybody to look into it. And I don't want to take away from the fact that there is seemingly an underage girl or someone who was an underage who is involved here. Yeah, it's Pizza Gaetz. It's why isn't Marjorie Taylor Greene up in arms about this potential situation as she is steeped in QAnon obsession. But
I mean, it's Dennis Hastert. I mean, maybe not quite to the degree of Hastert. I mean, who knows? I mean, we have to wait on the details on this, but you know, this is a thing that powerful people like to do.
Exactly. I mean, this is Epstein-esque, and all we heard from conservative circles was, oh, you know, Jeffrey Epstein connected to Bill Clinton. Let's not talk about the connections to Donald Trump, but those were all, I guess, ubiquitous, completely valid critiques of powerful people. But there's no discussion, and there's no secret cabal when it involves Matt Gaetz, and when there's an open investigation that was started. You know what? Maybe Matt Gaetz is a plant by the Democrats.
Well, I was going to say
The whole time rooting out the pedophiles, right? Because Bill Barr opened up this investigation. There we go, Matt.
there's literal talk that Gaetz is, you know, a plant by the Republicans, and he's actually working with Trump, and this is just, you know, his cover, the cover being blown, or maybe it's not blown. Maybe this is actually part of his plan too, and they're really going to catch a lot of them now.
Right, so like when he goes to jail, then he can finally get to the heart of the center of the Pizzagate kebab.
Exactly. Yeah. This is him going deep cover.
There's a Pizzagate kebab too. Maybe I'm hungry, but I digress. That is a very peculiar situation, and I just want to emphasize this again. Of course, there was an underage girl who was allegedly taken advantage of here. As much as there are many layers of humor to this story, there is also a potential victim, and that should not be lost in this. But again, what the hell is going on in Florida? Speaking, what is going on in Florida?
Always the people you least expect.
Right.
Or maybe not.
Hope Nestor isn't too brokenhearted over this.